Labyrinth is a cult favourite film with many people who grew up in the 1980s. Like me, I have probably seen the film well over 100 times. But there's probably one thing you missed during the opening sequence. I'm going to explain what that is in a moment. But first, a brief scene establishes that the woman you see here is not Sarah's mother, but her stepmother.
We were worried about you.
I can't do anything right, can I?
She treats me like a wicked stepmother in a fairy story no matter what I say.
I'll talk to her.
Then we are told that Sarah and her father are experiencing real relationship issues.
Has stolen.
Sarah, can I talk to you?
There's nothing to talk about. You better hurry, you're gonna be late.
Listen, we fed Toby and put him to bed. We do have to leave now, but we'll be back around midnight.
You really wanted to talk to me, didn't you? Practically broke down the door.
From this, two things are clear. First, that Sarah's father is encouraging her to go on dates and to grow up from being a child and develop into a young woman.
How do you know? You don't know what my plans are. You don't even ask me anymore.
Well, I assume you'd tell me if you had a date. I'd like it if you had a date. You should have dates at your age.
Sarah.
And second, that Sarah, in some sense, is rebelling against this by withdrawing into a fantasy world and into childhood things. We've already seen her dress up in costumes at the start, and now we see her room. And this is likely what you missed.
Through dangers untold and hardships unnumbered, I have fought my way here to the castle, beyond the Goblin City, to take back the child that you have stolen.
Now, do you see that? That's a sketchbook Sarah has of her mother, who seems to be some sort of stage actor or actress having a romance with a fellow actor who looks just like David Bowie. This man, the man that you see with Sarah's mother here, has been confirmed by the novel of the Labyrinth to have been Bowie himself, and his name is Jeremy. Now, it is not explained why Sarah stayed with her father and not her mother, which is very unusual even today, let alone in 1986 when this film came out. But the suggestion is that Sarah's mother left her father for Jeremy. And if you have a look at studies, when a mother leaves the family unit as opposed to the father, it's usually because the mother has, maybe had an infidelity of some kind or has found another man. So I would say that statistically, it is most likely that Sarah's mother left the family and went out with Jeremy instead. Now, what else do you notice about Sarah's room? Let's have a little look again. Okay, so there's one of the fireys who take their head off. There she is in the ballroom dress. There is Sir Didymus. There is the actual labyrinth itself. Various fairy tales and things. There's Hoggle. If you look on her wall, she's got the MC Escher maze that you kind of see at the end of the movie. Every element of Labyrinth comes from Sarah's room. The entire film takes place in her dream. I was 30 years old when this occurred to me, and I cried for some time when I realised, because this film is very close to my heart. But there is no other reading of the film that makes sense. So let's go back to Jeremy and Jareth. What does it mean that Sarah's fantasy version of Jeremy is a man who simultaneously scares her but also attracts her? Well, she plainly resents her father.
Practically broke down the door.
And she resents her stepmother.
Sarah, you're home. We were worried
I
about you.
can't do anything right, can I?
And despite the fact that her mother seems to have abandoned her, she seems to have a shrine of sorts to her mother, like this scrapbook and the things that we see on the mirror. But if her mother left the family unit for Jeremy, as seems to be the case, in some sense, Jeremy took Sarah from her mother. And now Jareth wants to take Toby from Sarah's new family with her father and stepmother. Now, Sarah is caught between childhood and adulthood, and the situation is greatly distressing for her. Jareth gives her an opportunity to disappear back into her fantasy world.
Sarah, go back to your room. Play with your toys and your costumes. Forget about the baby.
I can't.
I've brought you a gift.
What is it?
It's a crystal. Nothing more. But if you turn it this way, look into it, it'll show you your dreams. But this is not a gift for an ordinary girl who takes care of a screaming baby. Do you want it? Then forget the baby.
I can't. It is that I don't appreciate what you're trying to do for me, but I want my brother back. He must be so scared.
Sarah. Don't defy me.
But Sarah feels the pull of adult responsibility and cannot do it. But Jareth also represents some sort of sexual allure for Sarah. She is attracted to him and he tries to seduce her, just as Jeremy seduced Sarah's mother. Jareth drugs Sarah with a poisoned peach and, at a dark mask, almost has his way. But at the final moment, Sarah again resolves to stay committed to her stepbrother, Toby. She breaks Jareth's spell. And with this comes an adult acceptance that her fantasy version of her mother and her lover, Jeremy, must be rejected, and that her new family, the one consisting of her father, stepmother, and Toby, must be embraced. And this is ultimately what happens in the film. A teenager who has been rejected by her mother and placed under her father's care comes to terms with the fact that her own mother made terrible choices and refuses to do the same. She is going to make the new family, with Toby, her father and her stepmother, work despite the attempts of Jeremy and of Jareth at wrecking it. She, unlike her mother, would not become a goblin. And that's what really happens in Labyrinth.